Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now December 17th of 2022, and not only are we getting very close to the golden age of Star Wars, as John and Dave like to call it, but also we are getting very, very near to Star Wars Celebration of 2023, in which a lot of announcements will be made by Disney and Lucasfilm, a lot of reveals will be made about the future of the franchise, and exactly where everything is going and how they're going to be able to borrow many elements from Star Wars Legends. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that, of course, a lot of fans have been very skeptical about and very on edge about are the projects that are being produced and created by Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland, as well as John Watts. We're talking about Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte series and more. Now, the thing about this is that those two TV shows are going to be retconning many different elements of George Lucas's work, from the prequels to the originals and other Star Wars Legends material. Apart from all of that, there's a lot of problems arising out of all of this, and recently Disney CEO Bob Iger and the higher-ups, the board members so to speak, really created a very interesting decision and made the call to really set things right for the Star Wars fans. Now, one thing about all of this, alright, that a lot of fans need to absolutely be aware of is exactly what's been going on with, of course, Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland as one of the Star Wars writers, and of course, the Disney board members at heart. Now, this is an ongoing, drama-driven scenario that isn't the best for the company to deal with. However, with Kathleen Kennedy still having difficulty with the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, the Disney board has been getting very frustrated with her direction of both shows, creating many retcons against George Lucas's work with his past movies. Now, it's described that just recently Disney higher-ups made the ultimate call to fire one of the up-and-coming Star Wars writers, Leslie Headland, of the Acolyte series. Now, the Acolyte Season 2 plans are now completely off the table and scrapped, and Leslie Headland is said to have been instructed to never return to the franchise after production of The Acolyte wraps, both filming and ends in post. More than half of the board members called for Leslie's departure from anything Star Wars related after the Acolyte series, as they see the Acolyte show as a very controversial show run by Kathleen Kennedy that may divide fans once again. Now let me just, pause here quick for a second. Now, the thing about the Acolyte is that I feel we can't really afford another fan division. Another fan divide in the community ever since The Last Jedi would not be healthy for the community at all. Now, I think it's going to be fine and okay if fans realize that the Acolyte is just a little brick wall that we have to get past. I know that on paper the Acolyte sounds like an amazing show. It's about emerging dark side powers, set around 100 years before Episode 1, and it's going to showcase how the Sith infiltrated the Jedi Order. Sure, it sounds amazing on paper, I get it, and even the set leaks have looked quite amazing with the costume designs and all, but at the end of the day, Kathleen Kennedy's running the project 100%. She's got full creative power. Number two, George Lucas has been very upset about the direction. That's not good news. If he was upset about the sequel trilogy, this says a lot. And number three, we got somebody like Leslie Headland on board, the main writer, who openly stated that she's not a Star Wars fan, that she was never really into Star Wars, and that she tried to watch the prequels but couldn't watch them all the way through. I don't know why Disney approves writers like this to begin with, but I guess that they either A, decided that she was trustworthy, or B, is that her, lack of being a fan just really went past them. Who knows? But overall, this entire situation is quite a problematic one, and it's exactly why John and Dave have been getting involved with the Acolyte and trying to fix some elements of the actual series, and it's not going to be enough. We already talked about this, of how they came on board a couple months ago, they left because of the toxic environment. Disney begged them to come back. They are now back. Not much is getting fixed. There's not much that they can really do. And the same goes as follows for Skeleton Crew. Now, Skeleton Crew, John and Dave are trying to patch that together too, because they're dragging in a lot of cameos, like Ahsoka Tano and stuff like that, like Grand Admiral Thrawn, introducing a new region in either the galaxy or the entire universe, known as the New Beyond. That's all a FAVREAU and Filoni, creation. So moving on to the next big thing here, of course, even though FAVREAU and Filoni are on board in an attempt to fix some elements, not everything can be fixed reportedly for the series. Now, George Lucas is said to be very upset about Kennedy's direction with the Acolyte, specifically because of how it's going to have to retcon something to do with Anakin, and how it truly retcons many things to do with the Jedi Order, the Jedi Code, and something valuable about Sith lore that will be showcased in the beginning of the show. Disney has not been happy about this with Leslie's writing of the show at all, and have called action on canceling anything Star Wars related for her after this installment. Now, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, approved the major decision, and Kennedy is not too happy about any of that, not surprising there. Now, the one other thing that I do have to point out here that is crucial to everybody to know, of course, is that Kathleen Kennedy has openly said before about The Acolyte that this is a show about writing on a blank canvas and about shifting away from the visionary of George Lucas, shifting away from the fans that support George and that whole system. She wants to completely just do away with all of that. And there lies a problem, right? That's where you're not going to have an authentic Star Wars show. I believe it's going to look like a Star Wars show, it's going to be marketed like a Star Wars show, but in spirit, The Acolyte, it's going to feel very empty. It's going to feel like an empty shell. And that is something that I think a lot of fans are worried about, is that it may very well be The Last Jedi 2.0, situation-wise, as far as how many fans are going to get very, critical over the series and getting very frustrated over the show. I mean, that's what Disney's ultimately afraid of, and that's why they're taking a lot of action prematurely. Why they got rid of Leslie right away, and they don't want her involved with anything Star Wars anymore. Just like with what happened with Joby Harold, he's not coming back. Deborah Chow's not coming back for the Kenobi series reboot at all. But Joby Harold completely out. He is not coming back, period. So Joby is like the same exact scenario here. So overall, I would like to have a lot of you guys, take part in the comments below. What do you think about the Acolyte series? Do you think it's going to really be something of a game changer, or do you think, from what we have heard and what you have heard, is that it's going to be by far one of the most controversial shows out there? So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. From night to moon, we hear